Earlier I mentioned something about keeping your hand open, and I wanted you to understand why we keep our hand open. It's not how I made you, it's how God made you, and it's how you can be stronger in your bulldogging. Now here's the deal. We used to grip those horns, and inside horn, we tell the guys, take the inside horn and just grip it. And here's what happens when you grip it. Take my hand right there. All right, he grips my hand. He grips this. This is the horn. Now mash my arm down. You see what he's got? I mean, he locks. The only strength he's got is right here in his wrist when he does that. He has no strength in his arm whatsoever. Now, here's the thing. The way your body works, if you want to use your core strength, if you take them horns and you open that hand up, now mash, I cannot hold you up, and it goes nowhere. So it not only locks that horn right there, you got more strength in your arm. Now, the other thing that it does, it allows your elbow to go forward. Now, if I'm pinching my shoulders, where do I want to be? I want to pinch those shoulders and be able to get my left elbow out, okay? So now I'm in the position I want to be in. If I lock that wrist, where does it take your elbow? Back. So now I've got to roll that hand almost over here to be able to get that elbow out, which is very uncomfortable, and a lot of guys try to do it, but it's not effective, okay? So the real deal is when your hand comes off the saddle horn, it makes an actual move off that saddle horn. Used to, we'd take that hand and it go from here to there, and we grab that horn, inside horn, here to here. Now, what way we instruct it, it goes off the saddle horn and it makes this move. It catches the inside horn and mashed it right there. So it's an actual move off that, and it actually pins that horn every time, and you'll just get in the habit of the hand coming off. And when you watch my guys bulldog, you'll watch them and you'll see that elbow immediately pop out. Where do you think their upper body's going? Right here. Okay, we got some still pictures that Rob Pierce has taken for us, and it really explains what we do probably better than anything. Our style is over those horns, and we're actually taking the power away from the steers. It's a little bit different from a lot of what the old styles were, and these pictures are going to actually just really show where we're at and what we do. And there's some good still shots, and I think you'll enjoy looking at them. And it kind of drives home what we're about, and hopefully they help. We'd promised to bring you a couple of still shots, and in this shot right here, it's kind of a classic. He's got both feet out in the same position. So what happens is when you do that, you don't really give your steer anywhere to go. If he drags that left knee back and gets more on the ball of that left foot, and his upper body's working, he's really trying to do something with his steer. But here's the problem with this. He's still way behind the horns, and you see that he's not really breaking at the waist up over that steer's head. And if you're behind the horns, it's not really our style. Now, he's got his hand open. I like to see that. But if you notice his left horn, it's one of those situations where he's really mashing on that left horn, but he's pushing it basically away from him. When I talked about grasping that left horn, that a lot of times that's exactly what you get, because it locks your elbow back. So you notice the steer's nose is up. If he's got his body positioned more over those horns, he can really take an advantage of that steer, because I think the steer would have been pretty good in that case. Now, here's the thing. If you get in this position, and sometimes you just, for one reason or other, you will get in this position. What you do there is you just kind of wait it out. What you want to do is you want to keep that steer going forward. Keep going forward with the steer. Get your body up over you can still break up over those horns, still get in a good position to make make a throw. So you could still finish this steer out all right. That's not really the position you want to get in to start with, but you can still break at the waist, move your body position up over those horns, and still get a good throw. Now this shot here, this is Tyler, and if you notice here, he's really way up over these horns. And if you notice that, I like the body position of the steer. Now, you think this is a low-headed steer, and he might be a little bit low-headed. I mean, the steer's really kind of pushing on him. But he's really up over those horns. He's taking the power away from that steer. And there's only one way for that steer to go, and that's over his right shoulder. He's not swinging him. He's not pulling him. He's really lifting. If you notice with that right arm, he's really lifting, hand open. He's not really grasping that horn. He's got it in a position there, but he's not locking that elbow in a position that's going to keep him from actually the steer coming over him. If I was going to critique this at all, what I would say is to get his left leg and left knee back. If you notice, both feet are pretty much out there in the same spot. Now that steer, he's got to get that leg back, and I'm sure that's what's coming next if we had another frame to show this. But he's got to drag that left leg back to give that steer somewhere to go. If you don't, what happens is that steer could just continue to push you right there, and he'd come over you with no way to get to the nose. That's pretty much a classic of our style. You see the roll in his back. He's looking down the pin. That's pretty classic style right there for us, and that's won a lot of rodeos for this young man. I think he'll continue to win rodeos. Now this shot here, this is Orrin Fontenot, and this was probably when he first started and coming to our place. The young man has really stepped his bulldogging up. I'm very proud of him for that. But I just want to show there's a difference in his style now and back in what he's doing back in this day. You notice that his hands just there. His right hand's just kind of there. He's not doing a whole lot with that right arm. If you see a hand that's kind of draped over that steer's head like that, or over to the right of that steer's eye, you know that he's not getting a lot of lift right there. Now, the other thing is he's really grasping that left horn, but it's up there around his chest. He's behind those horns. You know, we talk about all the time being over your steer, being over your steer. And this is a classic example of that. Now, the power is to the steer right here. It's not to Orrin. And the thing about that, he's trying to get his left leg back, but with his body position, he's leaning back. He's not breaking at the waist, so it's hard for him to actually get over to that nose. If the cow really came over him right there, he'd be in a bind because he really couldn't get to the nose. How would he do it? So that's what we talk about. Now, as far as his lower body position, not all that bad. His left leg's floated back. He's got some good things going on. I like to pick the good things out with the bad. He's looking down the pin. He's trying to get over the horns, but in this particular case, he's just gotten behind the horns. Here's how he solves that. I mean, if he continues his slide right there, he starts going over that inside horn. He kind of keeps mashing with that inside horn and starts lifting. What's going to happen is it's going to break him over them horns. He'll be able to get to the nose and go ahead and finish his run. So everything doesn't have to start, and most all of y'all know if you look back at your runs, you can pick them to death. That's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to say is the difference in styles is be in front of the horns versus behind the horns. Okay, all of this stuff that we're talking about, listen, the only way to do is role play it. I mean, if you really want to get your stance right, what you need to do is you need to get on the fences and stuff, but even better than that, get in a mirror, get in a full-length mirror, look at what you look like. I mean, if this resembles what you want to be as a bullogger, that's the picture you want to paint every time you go out there. And that's where you're trying to get with muscle memory and all the practice and all the work that we do, is so that when you do this, you've got a basis to go on. You're not out there doing it different every time. You want to paint that picture in your mind, put it in your subconscious, and then put it there over and over until it's driven in and you cannot take it out. So that's why we're doing this, and this is going to lead us later into what we're going to do as far as the slide and the finish. But you have to get this down before you actually can go on to the next step.